Hello and welcome to Relationship Astrology. My name is Tian. I am your resident astrologer, and today we are exploring a new series of Synastry overlay. And in this video, we are going to discuss the moon opposing moon in Synastry. When it comes to intimate relationships, the moon is an essential planet to consider. It rules over our feelings, our needs, our sense of safety, as well as our home and our family, and it governs the way in which we express our affection, our love, and our care. It in turn highlights what we want and need from our partners and what they also need from us. The moon is governing our reactions, our past, as well as our own personal styles of connecting intimately with one another. The moon is the undercurrent of our emotional landscape. It is what began to take shape as children, and therefore what we are still wading through and trying to find within ourselves and our environment as adults. So, in a relationship, your capacity to trust, to be vulnerable, and to share on emotional level is inherent within the moon. The aspects between your moon and your child's moon, your moon and your best friend's moon, and your moon and your partner's moon are inherent in understanding how you interact and understand one another's emotions, and therefore governs over your own innate emotional intelligence, and therefore reflecting the emotional understanding that takes place between the two of you. It's essentially the fluidity and the flow of communication just as much as emotional understanding between two individuals. So if your moon is opposing your partner's moon, so that means that they're at a 180-degree aspect, and there is a push and pull kind of energy that is occurring and a mirroring energy that is occurring, then this video is the video for you. The moon opposing the moon in a synastry is not the easiest aspect to have. However, it is most prevalent in romantic relationships. It is because we are contrasting one another's needs, and it's highlighting the good old saying that opposites attract. Because each partner's emotional needs offer a very different understanding from one another's. Where one may crave security and stability, the other may also seek freedom and spontaneity. This is highlighting the availability to grow and to nurture oneself and the other through balancing act. It does create harmonious and balanced relationships once all perspectives are embraced. It is ideal with the moon opposition to the moon to recognize the individual as a unique person and validate their emotional needs as opposite and differing to your own. And it is essential to meet in the middle of these two opposing forces and find common ground. So in synastry, when the moon is dictating the ebbs and flows of our feelings within our relationship, it highlights our shared nurturing tendencies and instinctual reactions, and therefore, in a romantic relationship, the individuals involved have very different approaches to their emotional needs. However, there's this strong, like I said, magnetic pull and mutual attraction that gives the potential for compatibility and intimacy in domestic life and in relationships. It is essential to effectively communicate and embrace each other's perspectives, as well as recognizing and validating the unique emotional needs. Instead of expecting what the other person wants, it is important to consider, ask questions, and understand that they do not feel the same way you do. My partner and I have this, and we've been together for about 9 years now, or something like that. And I have my moon in Aries, and he has his moon in Libra. And there is a very different energy between Aries and Libra. And Libra which is very harmonious driven, very codependent by way of trying to seek balance and harmony in all situations on emotional level. Whereas the Aries moon, like myself, will, if I feel like I'm being undervalued or there is something going on, I will be the first to stand up for myself, and also most importantly stand up for those around me. So when I see something occurring whereby I feel that my partner is being walked over, I'm the first to remind him to stand up for himself and to highlight the fact. So I'm kind of balancing out his inability to maintain his activist sort of approach, and he helps me kind of balance out and find the calmness and seek the harmony and balance in emotional needs, as opposed to blazing down the path less traveled and blowing things up, for want of a better description. So the communication between these individuals with the moon opposing the moon is, like I said, a push pull dynamic, and it's highlighting that while one may express themselves more openly, like the Aries moon, the individual with, say, the Libra moon will be more reserved, and this leads to misinterpretations and help like divides a gap between the two individuals. There is a strong magnetic attraction for the moon and moon in synastry, however, in romantic relationships. It creates this sense of intrigue and this fascination over the intense emotional exchanges that one another can have, and this leads to a deep and abiding connection for one another. However, if it's not managed and not understood at the basis of the fact that you are two very differently emotive individuals, it can lead to conflict. So, when disagreements and conflicts do arise, especially when one partner feels that their emotional needs are not being met, it's essential to approach these conflicts with a willingness to understand another's perspective. And this is highlighting this emotional intelligence that needs to reign through. As opposed to framing someone's differences as a flaw, it's essential to view them as opportunities for growth to help strengthen and solidify the relationship. During stressful events, partners may respond in ways that does seem at odds, and that's when this further exacerbates this relationship dynamic that can create confliction and confrontation, because where one may seek to discuss their conflicts and find a resolve immediately, another person, like an Aries moon, would prefer to withdraw and process their emotions alone, especially an Aries moon in the 12th house. So, recognizing these differences helps an individual find a sense of compromise, and therefore also agree on terms in which they're able to resolve the conflict in a more harmonious way. And this helps build a sense of empathy and therefore mutual understanding and mutual receptivity within the relationship. Despite the fact that there is a strong sense that there may be an emotional disconnect, and patience and compromise could be at odds with one another due to the fact that both partners need to be able to find that middle ground between the opposing forces, it is a beautiful way of intimately understanding another's perspective, and therefore a very possible, promising relationship dynamic that helps you not only understand the other person but also understand the world at large. And so everything starts within your home. So if you're understanding someone within your home, therefore you're more inclined to help understanding other perspectives in the wider world. So it's essential to create a safe space, an environment where both partners feel the safety to express their vulnerability and their emotions without judgment or prejudice. And this involves setting aside time for emotional check-ins if need be. It's essential to make a conscious effort to understand where the other person is coming from in this relationship. reflect on how their background, how their experiences, and how their actual moon sign is different to yours. So, say, for example, a Cancer moon would be highly emotional and want to seek comfort and cuddles and nurturing from their partner. Whereas a Capricorn moon will be the first to just walk away and try and find something else to focus their mind on and find other ways and means with dealing with the conflict or the emotional explosions or tensions, I suppose you could say. So they will be more inclined to either go to work and resolve the issues with that or find a new project that they can sink their head into. Where a Piscean individual may want to escape their emotions, a Virgo individual would prefer to logically understand what's occurring, why it's occurring, and really get to the bottom of their emotional undercurrents on a more logical framework. So it is again important to acknowledge the differences and try not instead of trying to change one another, recognize and appreciate the individual strength that come from your differences and understand that it's essential for one partner to introspect their own nature to therefore provide balance and then receptivity to the other person's expressiveness within the relationship. If conflicts do arise frequently between the two individuals, I do urge you to seek couples therapy or also speak to your resident astrologer like myself and therefore dive even closer into an astrology reading. Therefore, you'll be able to get a better understanding of how you are expressing your vulnerabilities, how you are showing up in support of your love as a relationship, what your emotional responses are actually doing to one another, just as much as how your emotional responses are not providing a high level of emotional intelligence within your relationship. So, what this moon opposing moon aspect is a very enriching aspect just as much as it's a very challenging aspect for interpersonal relationships because there is a strong contrasting force occurring. So whereas a symbiosis occurs between moon and moon, conjunct moon, moon opposing moon does, of course, have its difficulties. However, by recognizing and valuing one another and your own innate differences, this helps you and your partner foster a stronger emotional connection and therefore inherently enriching a positive relationship with a high level of emotional intelligence and therefore exploring sexual intimacy and effective communication concurrently. Thank you, and I hope this has helped you and your relationship.